Hubbard and welcome to Chord Sudoku Part 3. You're undoubtedly watching this video for either one or two reasons. One, some aspect of your playing is or has become difficult for you, in which case I'll guarantee that your ability to play the bass guitar will transform by simply applying these principles and concepts that I'm going to show you. Or two, you're already doing well with your bass playing, but you're looking for a little bit of a different edge. You know, a different methodology or approach towards learning the bass guitar a little bit more effectively and efficiently. As mentioned in the previous lessons in this video series, we're adopting a chord tone driven approach towards learning the bass guitar. This methodology is directed specifically and exclusively towards the improvising experience, with the main objective of wiping away all resistance that occurs between you hearing an idea in your head and then translating that onto the bass guitar in real time. Now stay with me. Okay, today we're going to take a look at the dominant 7th chord. In the previous lesson we looked at the minor 7th chord. So if you haven't already done that lesson, go back and watch that one before proceeding to this one. Now a dominant 7th chord usually functions harmonically as some sort of 5-7 chord of a key. When the dominant 7th chord is then followed by the tonic or the 1 chord of the key, the strongest resolution is perceived. So the dominant 7th chord has a sound that it wants to resolve somewhere. In contrast to the minor 7th chord that we studied in the last lesson, which usually functions as a 2 minor 7th chord, it acts as a leading chord pointing us to the dominant 7th. Along with the minor 7th chord, the dominant 7th chord acts as a standalone static chord in many different styles, and for that reason alone, these two chord types are the bread and butter of any bass player's working toolbox. Okay, let's take a look at some common fingerings for the dominant 7th chord. The previous lesson we talked about adopting a 1 finger per fret approach to playing these different chord types all across the instrument. We also talked about adopting a methodology of figuring out fingerings from every finger of the left hand. The thing is that you're only really going to end up with 2 or 3 that work as what I call 90%ers. And the 90%ers that I've got out of the dominant 7th chord that fall into this 1 finger per fret positional concept is starting with the 2nd finger, so I go 2, 1, 4, 2, or with the 4th finger where I go 4, 3, 1, 4. Okay, so now you practice. Okay, so what we're going to do is apply all these same chord tone Sudoku principles that we applied in the previous lesson. This is where we're taking every note of the chromatic scale and we're figuring out how that functions as either the root, the 3, the 5, and the 7 of the particular chord type that we're working with. In this case, it's the dominant 7th chord, and the formula for this chord is going to be 1, 3, 5, and flat 7. That's important to know. Okay, so as I do this and I sort of get into my first position here, and I go start on C, and I say that C is the root of what dominant 7th chord, and obviously it's going to be C7. And with the dominant 7th chord, when talking about it to people, you do not need to use the full adjective of dominant. You can just say C7 or D7. You can shorten that to just use the letter name and then the 7th, and everyone will know that that means a dominant 7th chord. So we go back here and say C is what, C is the root of what dominant 7th chord, and you go C7. So I then play that chord there. Okay. Then C is the third of what dominant 7th chord, and now I say A flat. It's the third of A flat, 7. Okay. And then I say C is the fifth of what dominant 7th chord, and I say F7. And then I say C is the flat 7 of what dominant 7th chord, and then you're going to say D7. Okay, with that in mind, we're going to now climb up and do the same process that we did before. Okay, so if I'm here, I've got my C7 here. I've got my A flat 7 here. Okay, I've got my F7 here, and I've got my D7 here. And I'm going to keep moving up the neck just like we did before. We had 5 positions. The next one's here. I'm just going to go ahead and play them all. So the next one's here. I got C7. That's functioning as the root. C functioning as the third is going to be A flat 7. Okay. C functioning as the fifth is going to be F7. And then C functioning as the flat 7 is going to be D7. Okay. Then I move up here. C7. It's the root, okay? From the, as the third, it's going to be A flat. I could also play that there with the 4. From the fifth, it's F. And then from the flat 7, it's D7, okay? I'm then going to move on up continually, and I've got this for the root, C7, okay? For the third, it's going to be A flat. Okay, for the fifth, it's going to be F. And then for the flat 7, it's going to be D7. Okay, then I continue to move up, and I say C is the root of C7. I can play it here. Okay, it's the third of A flat. Okay, it's the fifth of F7. And then it's the flat 7 of D7. And now I'm 1 octave above my open starting position. And I've done all 5 positional phases of this exercise. Now, here's the deal on this, is that you'll notice I'm playing a 5-string here. And if you are playing a 4-string, you're going to be challenged with some positional things, because not every one of those chords is going to fit into each position in root position. Now, one of the things that you really have to start taking a look at, which we're going to cover in future lessons, is chord inversions. But a very simple way to look at this straight off the bat is to take the root position, which we're working with, and by using what's called octave displacement, we're going to put the octave of that root position arpeggio on the top, okay? And then we basically get the same thing, but it has a different dynamic and has a different timbre and sound, because the root is now on the top, and I'm playing, starting on the root at the top, going down to the third, then up to the fifth, then up to the flat 7. So if I was here, in my first position, and I tried that principle, I'd have my C7, I'd go C, but I'd go down to the 3, then to the 5, then to the flat 7, okay? If I then went to the A flat 7, I go to the A flat up here. Remember, we started down here, A flat, then down to the third, then there is my fifth, and there's the flat 7. Okay? If I did that from F, where C functions as the fifth, then I would have this, the F, the A, the C, and then the E flat here. Okay? And then if I did that on my D, I'd have my open D here. I'd then have the F sharp, the A, and the C. And this is how this would go. So the way that you can use this is either all from the octave displacement of the root position. Remember, we're just in root position. We haven't done any inversions yet. This is just an octave displacement of the root position, which is seldomly talked about. Okay, and this is very functional. You can use this in getting around your bass, use this to tackle the idea of lines moving smoothly from one place to the next, okay, rather than you just sound like you're jumping around all the time. So if I'm here, see, on the 5 string I played in the first example, when they were all from the root position, I played my C7, and then I had the A flat 7, then I had the F7, and then I had the D7. So on a 4 string I couldn't play that D7 in that way. I have to alter it. This is where the octave displacement comes in to be very handy. And it's also just a sound thing too, as you'll come to realize. It doesn't matter whether you play 5 string or whether you play 6 string or whether you play 4. It's all adaptable and functional on all 3 instruments. So if we take a look at this where I go change that D7, so I go C7, then I go down to the A flat 7, here's my F7, and now there's my D7 there. That makes it all that more adaptable in that particular position. If you were playing 4 string, I don't have this low D to go down to, and I need to know how to work with these things anyway, regardless of what instrument I play. I really detest the guys who buy a 5 string because it's easier to read on, or it's easier to do this, so I decided I'd buy the 5 string. You should be playing the various different instruments because you hear that range. It's all about hearing the range. If you heard the range for the 6 string, by all means go out and invest in a 6 string. If you hear the range only of a 4 string and you're happy with that, stick with that. It's all about what range you're actually hearing. I happen to hear the range of this, having this low B up to the G. That's what I've chosen. So that's what it should be about, not making it an easier thing to do. So the idea of what actually makes playing easier is learning principles like this. And again, this is seldomly talked about, so check this out. So if I looked at it in that entire way from that octave displacement from the root position, then I could have this. So I've got my C7, then I go up to the A flat, then I go to the F, then I go to the D7 there, and it has a very interesting sound to it. Again, if I'm moving up here and I've got my C7 in this position with the octave displacement, and then over to here I've got my A flat where C is functioning as the 3rd. Then if I go to the F, I have this. Okay, and then if I go to the D, I'm going to have this. Okay, and the idea is that, you know, you mix and blend. It's really chopping and changing. You know, I could stick with, I might have this, I might go root position here. You can see how on the C7 and the D7, I just played them with the standard root position, but I altered it for the A flat and I altered it for the F7 to have that octave displacement pattern. Again, if we break this down and look at these 1 finger per fret fingerings, this might be an idea to go through. As you see, I've got for this one here, I'm playing, when I play it across 2 strings, I'm going 4, then I go 1, then I go 4, and then I go 2. If I play that across a 3 string pattern, I'm going here. I'll do this on F7. I play the 1, I go here to 3, then I go 1, and then I go 4. So I have this pattern, or I have this pattern here. So you kind of saw that when I went here on my C7 there, I went there to that fingering with the 4. On the F, I went to this fingering, and then on the D, I went back to the 4th finger fingering on the root position structure. So we then want to again keep moving that up. I mean, it's just experiment with this stuff, and again, chop and change. You don't have to do it all just one way. The idea is that you mix it up. I remember years ago, a great friend of mine and fantastic keyboard player producer, Peter John Vitesi, said to me that his favorite scale was the mix a few of them. And I really like that saying, because that's what it's about. It's mixing and changing ideas, and it's about hearing the effect of what these things have in your playing. It's like an artist with a palette. You know, he's got his colors that he's painting with. He's never just going to paint a picture entirely in black. He's going to use different light and shade, and that's what this stuff is really about, and the application of this. So start to be free with this and see how this works for you. I think you'll find it interesting. So if we carry on again, moving on up, if I go here, there's that C7 in that position. If I then go to the A flat, I've got that. So that's kind of a cool pattern as well, and it sounds very angular as I'm going across there. Then I've got my F7, and then here I've got the D7 here, or I could have played that there, okay? Again, if I move up here, there's that position that I've got there. If I go to my A flat, I've got the same thing here. You see how that moves across in that way. Just down a major third. It's good to understand these intervallic relationships as well with these things. And then if I could go here to my F7. See, that might be a more economical thing. And listen as well. I can get that by a half step, and whenever you can sort of merge your lines by half step or whole step, this creates a particular continuity to your line, which is very smooth. Transitions are very smooth, and I like this, and I think you will too. Again, you know, continuing to move it up here, I can alter where I played that there. I can alter that here. I've got my A flat 7. See, again, there, that segues into a whole step transition. So I've got that, and that's my A flat, and then why not go here and get that again, that half step transition there to the F7, and then for my D7, I could just go down here. That leads us back to the open position again, so I could be here. I could go back to this because I get that whole step transition. I get my F7 here, and then my D7 could be right there, okay? So that gives you the concept right across the neck, all 5 positions. This is very, very cool, this octave displacement thing. So I really want you guys to absorb this. Really practice hard and practice smart. You know, this is a very important thing about practicing, is engaging your mind, making sure that you're thinking about the process of what you're doing, not that you're switching your mind off because you're bored about practicing. This is a very, very important concept that I'm going to further explain in future lessons that I'm going to do with you guys. So take this stuff with you. And I hope you enjoy it. I think you're going to have some really good results from this. So practice hard and practice smart. I'm very pleased to announce that my new bass video membership website will be open for business by mid-April 2013. When you become a member at joehubbardbassvideolessons.com, you will gain access to learn everything you need to know about becoming a better improvising bass player all in one place. I will have 3 different types of memberships available with different pricing schemes that will undoubtedly fit into everybody's budget. All of the lessons have been designed to save you time in your quest to becoming a better improvising bass player. I'll basically cut out the trial and error phase and get straight to the point. This is based on 30 years of real-world experience as an in-demand bass player and teacher. As a member, you're going to gain access to a large library of bass video tutorials on a wide variety of different subjects. I'm going to show you the best ways to learn major and minor harmony, both diatonic and non-diatonic. I'm going to show you the real way to learn about groove playing, which is all about rhythmic phrasing. I'm going to show you how to improvise effectively over chord changes. I'm going to show you revolutionary concepts about ear training. I'm going to show you how to create bass lines that transcend all stylistic context. I'm going to show you the best approach towards learning tunes on your instrument. I'm also going to show you how to practice effectively and so much more. Whether you've been playing bass for years or you're just getting started, a Joe Hubbard Bass Video Lessons membership will help you to learn what you need to know to improve your skills as a bass player. So take the first step to becoming a better improvising bass player and sign up for my mailing list today. Then look out for information in your inbox about introductory discounts to get the learning process kick-started now. Thank you, good luck, and look out for Chord Tone Sudoku Part 4, which is coming at you soon. Thank you.